Good morning and welcome back for that second video I talked about yesterday that I did not end up making because I was just like exhausted, and that's my life right now. I have like a little bit of energy in the morning, um, and then if I do anything, it's gone and I just melt basically. So that's fun. Today I wanted to talk about my port and the story behind this catastrophe. Um, at least it's healing. So thanks for staying tuned. All right, let's take it from the top. Why did I need a port? I needed a port because the treatment I'm about to start on Monday, which is called ECP, which is short for extracorporeal photopheresis. And that is where they take out my blood. It goes into a machine and they separate the white blood cells from the rest of the blood. They put the rest of the blood back into your body, and then they treat the white blood cells with some medicine and then with like UVA radiation. And then they put it back into my body. And then those cells are supposed to, because they're like now altered, go and, I don't know, I guess kill all of the GVHD cells. But it takes time and everything else. And I have to do, I'm doing an aggressive treatment, which is like 2 days a week, every week. And it's going to be like that for 3 months before we even reevaluate like any of this. They took a ton of pictures to record like what I look like before treatment, and then probably at some stage in between. And then obviously, as we go along, things should be better, but we will see. Okay. I originally wanted my port surgery done up in Boston because I had my central line done up there, and as terrified as I was of that, it went okay. And I really do like Boston and like Dana-Farber for all of their care and stuff because they are very comprehensive. And even though like there's always going to be stuff that you don't like with new doctors and facilities and stuff, but Dana-Farber's been amazing. But because my treatment is happening at Yale, because they're helping us out, it makes things a little bit more complicated. And what I mean by more complicated, when you have a port or a central line placed, you get paperwork that comes with it. So like I'm wearing a bracelet in case something happens, they know I have a port. I should also be wearing my medical bracelet that talks about, the fact that I need irradiated blood if I need a blood transfusion and not regular blood because it'll kill me. But that one's in the other room. And it comes with paperwork and like stuff that you have to give to other facilities so they know what kind of port it is. But most of the time, like other hospitals don't want to touch implanted devices. So even my central line was a pain going back and forth. And like when I needed fluids or something, like Yale wouldn't use my port because Boston put it in. So because of that debacle, I told the teams at Yale and Boston, like whatever they decided is what I would go with. And I really wish that I had stuck with my guns and just went to Boston, because this should not have happened this way. I should have just been put to sleep, in all honesty, because I was awake for the whole procedure and I could feel everything. So we're going to get into that. Disclaimer, if this stuff makes you queasy or uncomfortable, then keep scrolling because I am going to get into some details that are probably going to make some people uncomfortable. All right. So I had originally asked to be put under general anesthesia because honestly, I've just been through so much and there's been a lot of pain. And it's just easier. Just put me to sleep. I don't want to know. I don't want to feel it. Just put me to sleep. And they said, okay. But then when I got there in the morning, they said, well, we're not going to do that. It takes longer to recover. And like, it's a simple procedure. We're going to do it how you had it done in Boston with fentanyl and Versed. I said, okay, fine. I get strapped down like seatbelts, right? Over like my abdomen and stuff, and then over my legs, and then my arms were like in something where I couldn't move them, and like it folded over them. So I was like locked into place. There was no moving. There was no getting out of that or whatever, because obviously it's a cardiac thing and going into my heart with the catheter and stuff. So that was fine. And when they gave me the first bit of medicine, like I did fall asleep for a little bit of time, but I woke up immediately once he like actually started, because as you can see, I have a little incision here, and then I have the big one down here. Oh, hold. Sorry, I had a phone call from Boston. So as you can see, like it comes down and it gets tunneled, and then there's the bigger incision here, which is where they actually like put the implanted device in, and then it's like gets screwed in and stuff and gets fed up into this I don't even know what to call it. You can see it, the line, I guess, and it goes up into my jugular vein and down, and then like into my heart. So I originally thought that maybe my like tolerance for the medications and stuff was high. But I didn't have any issues the last procedure I had, and like nothing's changed really medication wise. Obviously my body's different, and like I'm handling medications differently post transplant, but I think what happened is that because I could feel everything, that's why I couldn't go back to sleep, and like that's why I was awake, but like they should have done something about that. And I was very vocal about it. Like my heart rate and everything also reflected the amount of pain that I was in, and my blood pressure and everything. I could feel everything, and he tried to do more lidocaine, but I guess I have significant scar tissue and scarring under my skin, which is something that happens with GVHD, but we didn't think that I was that severe. But part of the problem is I have so much fluid and so much swelling that it's masking what's actually happening like under my skin. And then as the like swelling, this phase goes away and it starts to go down, because that's happening in my legs a little bit. The like scarring and fibrosis and stuff is very visible. And I'm kind of really praying that like it does not happen up here, but we'll see. So when he went to cut into me and everything else, there was so much scar tissue he like couldn't move through. So most of this is literally from him jamming it through. It was crazy. I can't even really describe like everything that happened, but like I was awake and coherent for the whole procedure. Like I felt him make this incision. I could feel him like pushing down, and it wasn't pressure, it was pain. I felt him put the actual like device into me and like get it into place and like screw everything together. Like it was not pleasant, to say the least, and that's obviously an understatement. And then I had bleeding problems afterwards. So like had I been fully sedated, like I asked, I would have had to have stayed longer in recovery, and they probably would have caught the bleed while I was still at the hospital, instead of me coming home and then this thing bleeding and turning basically black, and then I had to go to a different emergency room, which was like a debacle, and get clotting factor infusion. And then I had to go back on Friday, which was my rebirthday, happy 1 year to me, and get another infusion of clotting factor, because it had gotten better and then it got significantly worse. And like, as you can see, like the bruising here and stuff, like all of this was black, and it was just not good. So like they took pictures of it and stuff. Thankfully it's healing now. But we don't even think that the bleeding was from my bleeding disorder, because I also have type 1 von Willebrand's, but I've never bled like this. So we think that it's because of like all of the scarring and just how my body is right now. Like I can't handle apparently even like outpatient procedure as well, which is kind of scary to think, like if we get into a car accident or something, like the trauma involved in that, physical trauma and emotional trauma, like I don't know what that would do to me. And that's kind of like scary to think about. So I don't know. But I start new treatment for the GVHD on Monday. I go Monday and Tuesday next week. And then the following week, I think I'm going Wednesday and Thursday. And then I also have to schedule my infusion. And I have an intake on Thursday of next week, or like an initial consult with the Yale hematology BMT team. So they can take over some of my care as well, or still be like this annex, as they're calling themselves, so I can get my infusion down here, instead of having to drive 2.5 or 3 hours every other week up to Boston. So that would be huge. So we are, fingers crossed, praying really hard and asking for prayers and good vibes and stuff as we enter the next phase of this fight. And that's Monday, baby. Let's get it.